Well, hey there, everybody. It's Pastor Devin from Family Worship Center. And today I'm not coming to you with the background. I am actually at the church. I've been giving out food for our food pantry here, giving out stuff through our virtual free sale. But I wanted to take the opportunity to continue our series on dealing with trauma. We are in a place where people are starting to talk about opening things back up. I know there have been a few things, even some essential services that were shut down because of the proximity, like dentist's office and eye care places and things like that here in Kentucky that have opened back up. That's happening, but there still is this ripple effect. There still is all of this stuff that has happened to so many people. Hours cut, jobs lost, people waiting for unemployment, not hearing anything, people waiting for stimulus checks, just different scenarios all the way around. And the thing is that no matter what your scenario is, you're likely feeling an extra degree of stress, frustration, anxiety, wonder, whatever's going on. I want to tell you first and foremost, there is nothing wrong with how you feel. How you feel is how you feel. Whether you're angry, whether you're frustrated, whether you're scared, whether you're happy because you get to stay home and spend more time with the kids, how you feel is how you feel. But what you do with how you feel is incredibly important. And that's why we're bringing you this series from the REBOOT folks from REBOOT Ministries to just share with you some things about dealing with trauma. Again, the first two videos are up. I encourage you to go back and check those out. And you can use the link at the end of this video if you need to get to them directly on YouTube and can't find them on Facebook. But today's video is about moving forward, and just the fact that, when things happen, life still goes on. When you have somebody in your family die, when you lose a job, when you have a sickness, all those things, those are tragic, those are difficult, but you know what? The next day still comes. And we have to feel what we feel, but we have to plan and strategize and continue to move forward. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start this video, and we're going to watch this together, and we're going to come back at the end, and I'll just wrap up with a couple of final thoughts and a quick prayer. But I hope that these videos are helpful to you, continuing again to put some tools in your emotional tool bag during this trying, difficult time. And again, you can always reach out if you have questions or comments or need anything, concerns, whatever it might be. You can certainly reach out to me here at the church. It's fwcwilder@gmail.com is our email address, or you can reach out on Facebook Messenger, through the Rocks group, through the church Facebook group, whatever it might be. But here we are, session 3 from the REBOOT Recovery folks, dealing with trauma. Today we're talking about moving forward in uncertainty. All right.
Hey, we're in session 3 of our 5-part series called Reboot Recovery Crisis Edition. I hope that you've been able to take some of what we've been talking about here and already either apply it to your life or maybe to help someone out through their situation that they're facing. I remember a terrible tornado came through Nashville here where I live. I remember calling one of my friends as he described the wreckage that he saw as he looked at his house and the houses around his. There was a heaviness in his words because while he was describing material things, it was clear to me that he had lost and his neighbors had lost so much more than that. What they had lost was their stability. They had lost their security and their safety. See, me as a human being and you as a human being, we have a knack for developing contingencies, backup plans for when things go wrong. But when a crisis or a trauma of some magnitude comes into our lives, it just obliterates, it totally destroys those contingencies. That buffer that we have built is gone in an instant. And suddenly now we're forced to face the reality that we're going to have to figure out how to work through this wreckage with total uncertainty. We're going to figure out how do we start working through it. And I remember standing outside of a building thinking to myself, somebody is going to have to go in there and start assessing how much damage actually was done. Somebody has to start assessing what was lost. And I remember thinking, but how do they even know that the floors are secure? I mean, they could have serious infrastructural or structural damage. They could be walking on floors with uncertainty that it's probably not safe. And trauma and crisis are so much the same. You see, that's what we have to start assessing the damage, and then we have to figure out how do we start walking forward in uncertainty. But how do we do that? How do we move forward in uncertainty? Here's how. You pursue stability. With all of the intensity and might that you have, you chase after stability. But what is stability? What do I mean when I talk about this idea of stability? Stability is our mind, body, and soul's need for balance. It's our need for regularity. Stability is designed to take off the super highs and to take off the super lows and to find some version of normalcy. Normalcy. The day-to-day life starts to feel a little bit predictable. We start to be able to have an environment where we're able to sleep better. We're able to maintain our stress a little bit better. We're able to cope a little bit easier. That's what happens when stability gives us a little bit of margin, a little cushion. But this sensation of crisis will continue until stability is restored. Let me repeat that. The sensation of crisis in your life will continue until stability is restored. But as we try to rebuild stability in our lives, let's be honest, that stability is extremely fragile in the early days, in the early parts. And that could go on days, weeks, months, or even years, where something could happen. In this season of time when we start to first rebuild stability, it's often marked like this with the old phenomenon of one step forward and two steps back. You finally, you apply to a job, you finally get that new job, and your car breaks down, and you're not able to make it to work on time anymore. One step forward, two step back. Or maybe, you finally start to feel like you get your sanity again, and then one of your kids comes down with an illness, and all of a sudden, all those emotions and fears are triggered once again as you remember some health crisis that you had been through. One step forward, two step back. And those types of setbacks are out of your control. They're out of your control. You can't do anything necessarily to control whether or not those things are going to happen. But there are some setbacks. There are some that are in your control, under your control, that you have some say over. And those are the ones that you really have to look out for, because those are the ones that you can do something about. And in our experience, there's actually 3 behaviors that either build or destroy stability. They either build or destroy stability. And in this session, we're going to walk through those 3. We're going to let you choose which path you want to take as it pertains to these. So you can decide if you want to take a productive process, or if you want to just continue doing the natural thing, going back to what we talked about. All right, so here's the first one that either builds stability or destroys it. Remember, stability is the second of 3 phases that you need. You need safety, you need stability, and you need support, which is what we're going to talk about in the next session. So here's the first thing that either builds or destroys stability. We either deal with or deny the loss that's happened. We either deal with or deny the loss that's happened. Crisis almost always causes loss of some kind. But the problem is, most of us, we don't deal very well with loss. We don't like it because we're wired to win. We want to win. We don't like to lose. We want things to go our way, on our terms, to go as expected. So naturally, when they don't, we get angry, and we have a tough time facing that loss. I want you to hear this. Grief happens when our picture of the future changes without our permission. Grief happens when the picture of our future changes without our approval or our permission. Loss exposes our limitations. It shows us that there were things that we thought were certainties that now have been taken away. And grief forces us to come face to face with that, because no matter how loudly we reject or object, really, no matter how loudly we shout, stamp, yell, scream, whatever it is, it's gone. And we have to face that. Loss doesn't care about our feelings. It doesn't discriminate. It takes and takes and takes, and it doesn't offer any return policy. Whether it's a person, an ability, a dream, a physical place, whatever it is, it's all lost. It's been taken away, and it simply doesn't seem fair. Maybe you've experienced some of this. We protest the injustice of that loss, and we grieve. And this grief is really a cocktail of emotions, right? It's a little bit of anger, a little bit of regret, a little bit of sadness, a little bit of fear, all kind of put together in a little cocktail. And if we're grieving properly, certain questions should arise. Questions like, what now? Or why did this happen? Those kind of questions. Will it ever stop being this way? We should be asking those questions, but tragically, a lot of us, we never do. And the reason is because we don't actually go and start dealing with the loss. Instead, we just deny the loss. And this denial of loss comes in a lot of different forms. Some people just brush it under the rug and continue on like no big deal happened. There's another type of denial that says, yeah, it's gone now, but it'll come back. I'll get it back. It'll come back. And they'll wait for it to come back. But they're going to be waiting forever because time only moves one direction, and that's forward. And in our experience, unresolved grief, loss that isn't dealt with, is one of the leading causes of emotional dysfunction or emotional and mental challenges that we see people face. Whether it's anxiety or rage or depression or addiction, so often after we've worked with someone for a long period of time and we get to that root oftentimes is that they didn't deal with accepting and dealing with a loss. Because a loss is not the enemy. Loss is not the enemy. Not facing the loss is. So rather than denying the loss, let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. Every messy part of it, let's work through it together. We can do that. And I'm going to give you a process that I've shared with a lot of people that might help you or someone you love work through what they've lost. First, it begins by naming the loss. We begin by naming the thing that we lost, the ability, the time, the hope, the dream, the person, the place, whatever it is we lost. We give it a name and we write out those things that we lost. And when we start to write out these things, something often will happen, which is we'll start to realize that the crisis in our life, that trauma, it took a little bit more than what we thought it did. As we start to list those things out, it's very important that we list them out and feel the full weight of the damage that's been done. It's very, very critical. Next, we object to the loss, right? This is where we grieve and we say, we protest that this loss should not have happened. It was unjust. It was unfair. It's not okay with me that this happened. It's important that we do that. We might even need to verbally say that out loud to somebody. Like, this is not how it was meant to be. And again, if you're a person of Christian faith, you know that there's this picture that we have in the very beginning of time where there is no evil, there is no loss, right? And so there's this idea that this is not how it was meant to be, and that our souls cry out for that. And when we grieve, we're objecting. We're saying, we know this is not how it was supposed to be. Third, we grieve the loss. This is where we authentically engage the emotions that come with this, rather than stuffing or rejecting those emotions. As they say, you can't heal what you can't, or what you won't feel. You can't heal what you won't feel. You can call somebody, you can write it down regardless, but you need to feel it. And if you don't know how to do that, just start talking. And a lot of times the emotions will follow. It's okay. Just list facts in the beginning. And lastly, you find purpose in the loss. The grieving process, I believe, is designed to end in empowerment. Right? Think of it like this. If you're not in need of rescuing anymore, then your role becomes to become a rescuer. After I've grieved something, I've lost something, it's my job or my duty now as a human to go help someone else grieve and process that loss. That's a similar loss that maybe I've gone through. So again, you name the loss, you object to the loss, you grieve the loss, and then you find purpose in the loss. And accepting the loss is something that only you can do. Nobody else can grieve for you. They can grieve with you, but not for you. And that's another behavior that I see that either destroys or builds stability. So the first one is we either deal with or deny the loss. The second one is this: we either take responsibility or we blame others. Woo, getting close to home now. We either take responsibility or we blame others. Personally, I prefer blaming others. It's a lot easier, right? And that's okay. Remember when you were a kid and your parents used to tell you, hey, you can only be responsible for your own actions. Anybody hear that when they were a parent? Yet sometimes in crisis, we want to focus on everybody else's actions but our own. We don't want to focus on our own actions. That's too much pressure. I'd love to pour all my time into helping somebody through their crisis because I don't have to deal with my own. I can deal with their crisis, right? Or another example is I'd love to spend all my time and energy getting angry and blaming why somebody else screwed me over and why this is just terrible and just blah, 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 all that. I'd rather do that. We call this a victim mentality. And the problem is that victims believe that their feelings and circumstances, that everything in their life is someone else's fault, right? They believe that. They see themselves as helpless with hardly any control over their own lives. And while all of those feelings, it's funny, they all may make us feel better for a moment, don't they? I know I love a good shouting match. Right? They make me feel better for a moment, but it doesn't lead to healing. And the reason is because I can blame others as much as I want, but guess what? They don't care. They've moved on. And if they do care, they're too busy evidently to come back into our lives and fix the thing that they did. So whether or not, even if they got us into the mess, guess what? They're probably not going to help get us out. And that's harsh, and I get that, but it's true. That it's our responsibility, like it or not. If we wait on others to help us find stability, we're going to be waiting a whole long time because they are probably unaware of the way that they've hurt us. We can't count on them. The trauma and crisis probably wasn't our fault, but healing from it is our responsibility, and we get to choose: are we going to blame others or take ownership and take responsibility? And in my experience, there's really 5 actions that you can do to start taking responsibility. And I'm going to list those 5. I'm going to go through them quickly for time's sake, but these are big, big, big time points. I could do entire lessons just on these. So the first is you make stability a top priority. You commit yourself to consistency. You make a conscious effort to make stability happen. You find a new routine. You don't stress out if you have to break that routine. You go to bed at a certain time. You wake up at a certain time. You do certain activities because you want to make stability a top priority. Number 2 is you live within your financial means. We've talked about this before. You don't spend more money than you bring in. Simple math. You don't spend more money than you bring in. You cut expenses and you get to where you can start saving some cash cushion again. Another one is you don't overreact. Drama is not a characteristic that is helpful during the stability creation process. Now, drama might bring you lots of excitement and energy, but don't mistake drama for rebuilding stability and gaining traction. It's a waste of energy. You're spinning your wheels. Drama is not on your side. Don't waste your time and energy rehashing something that already happened. Talk about what the future is that's going to happen. Next, 4th, find stable friends, right? Hang out with people of sober mind who make good decisions, right? I always say that good decision making tends to be contagious. Let them rub off on you, right? 5th, limit your use of substances. The old cliche of, hey, it's been a rough week, let's go to the bar and have a few. That's not going to help you with clarity of mind. If anything, it's going to make you more foggy and less likely to make good decisions. So those are 5 things that you can do as you start trying to build stability in your life, right? And you can find those in the workbook. I'm not going to recap them. Those are things that you can do. And once you have the safety established, once you start to retain or build stability, your full-time job should be to define reality. Because if you're not going to be true with yourself and say what's true and define it as it really is, nobody else is going to either, right? We have to be real with ourselves. We have to be honest about where we're at. We can't blame others. We can't neglect. We have to take ownership. There's this awesome verse, Luke 14:28, that I love, and it says this. It says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Right? It's this basic idea, right? In other words, no good builder begins a building before he first says, how much is this going to cost? How long is it going to take? In other words, before there's a plan. And then they start taking action to build and execute on that plan. Well, congratulations. You are now the general contractor of rebuilding your stability, right? There are parts of it that you're going to have to make some decisions. And that really gets into this last piece that either destroys or builds stability. And that's this. We either make tough decisions or we put them off. We either make tough decisions or we put them off. Now, know ahead of time, you're going to make some wrong decisions. In the fog of crisis following that, you're going to make some choices because you don't have all the facts yet, and that's okay. And sometimes, though, we can let that start impacting our own confidence. We can start to feel like, man, I made a bad decision, and I don't trust my own decision-making anymore, yada, yada. I mean, that's not healthy because you're not broken, you're wounded. And if proper steps are taken, you can heal. Making decisions to heal isn't an exact science. So give yourself some grace and some leeway. It's okay. You'll move forward. You'll make more good choices than you don't. And again, it's more about making choices and being decisive, because indecisiveness will kill and eliminate a chance for true stability. So again, 3 phases. We're building safety, we're building stability, and we're finding support. In the next session, we're going to talk about support. We're going to talk about what does that word mean and how does that apply to the overall healing process as we try to find productive pain. But as we talk about how to move forward in some uncertainty, here's how you do it. You deal with the loss instead of deny it. You take responsibility instead of blaming other people. And lastly, you make tough decisions instead of putting them off. And you can do those things. I can do those things. We can do those things. I hope you're enjoying this. I am. I'm enjoying being able to share this information with you. And I'm looking forward to the next session because it really does build on what we're talking about here. Again, passivity is not going to be your friend when it comes to stability. And you aren't being passive. You're taking action. You're taking this course. And for that, I am grateful.
Absolutely. I love what he said there, because it doesn't matter if it's a divorce, a death of a child, dealing with a job loss, dealing with quarantine from COVID, abuse in your past. You're not broken, you're wounded. And our God, I believe, whether you are a Christian or not, I believe our God is more than able to help people heal hurts. But again, there is a part that we have to play, and that's why we are bringing you this series, because we have to move forward. We have to make decisions and say, okay, I'm not going to stay in this. I'm not going to allow people to pull me back in this. I'm not going to blame others. I'm going to make some tough decisions. And again, right now, maybe it's tough decisions with our finances. Maybe it's tough decisions in a toxic relationship. Maybe it's tough decisions about a job scenario. This is not just meant for COVID-19, although that's why we're bringing it to you now. But there are always things that happen. Death of a parent, death of a child. You've been on the job for 20 years and they lay you off. All these things, they produce these emotions, they produce these traumas in our lives. Again, it's okay to feel how you feel, but what are we going to do with it? And so as we close, I just want to encourage you, maybe you're in the place right now where you feel like you've taken 1 step forward, 2 steps back. In your emotional health, in your physical health, in your financial health. And it doesn't matter the reason. Maybe it's COVID related, maybe it's something else. It doesn't matter the reason. But if you're in that place where you feel like, okay, I keep trying and I keep getting knocked down. I keep going forward and I keep stepping back even further. I keep failing, I keep failing, I keep failing, I keep failing, I keep failing. I want to encourage you today, take another step. Make the decision that you're not going to blame others. Make the decision that you're going to continue to go forward. It's hard. I wish I could tell you, even as a Christian, I wish I could tell you that it's easy. You just pray a prayer and every problem in your life goes away. That's not how faith works. That's not how life works. God can certainly do miraculous things and bring people out of things and set them free from things. That certainly happens. But for most people, change requires time and it requires consistency. And so, whether you're in the position you're in because of something someone else did, or because of what's going on in the world and the economy, or because of bad choices you've made, there is hope. There is a future ahead of you. You can get there, but you got to make the decisions. Guys, I love you and I appreciate you. I hope this is helpful to you. Again, reach out if you need anything. I'm happy to provide it. fwcwilder@gmail.com, through Facebook, whatever we can do for you. If we can, we are definitely here. Father, thank you so much for each and every person who watches this video. I pray that it encourages them, stirs their heart with faith to keep going, to keep trying, to not give in, and to not give up. No matter how broken they feel, I thank you that they're not broken, they're wounded. No matter what it seems like, no matter what it feels like, and there is nothing that you cannot heal and restore if we will give it to you and if we will take the steps we need to take. I thank you for doing that work and giving us the strength to go forward. In your name, amen. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you again real soon. Bye.